Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Conversations with the Soul. I'm Rita Hickman, and I'm a body-mind expert and shiatsu massage therapist in the Chicagoland area. So today, we are going to focusing on integrating things that are in our mind. So, one of the things that I learned a long time ago is that nothing ever really stays the same. Good morning, Ruth. How nice to see you. Nothing ever really stays the same. But the problem with our mind is that we box things up. We compartmentalize things a little bit, and we put them in one space or the other space. Good morning, Sabrina. And we don't always connect things. Good morning, Kristen. We don't always connect things. And so when things go bad, when we're sad, angry, frustrated, when things don't go the way that we want them to, what tends to happen is we forget that that the world is a lot bigger than we think. So I'm going to give you one of my rescue words. One of the words that I always use, and I should probably put it on sticky note tabs. Good morning, Jabber. I should probably put it on sticky note tabs and put them all around me. But my favorite word when I'm stuck is called sometimes. It's very easy when we have an emotion to go to project into the future that this is the way something's always going to be. Let's say someone frustrates us or something reminds us or triggers us from something of the past. With the recent holidays, I'm sure that happened with a lot of people. A lot of people were launched right back into those old patterns and those old fears. And with Christmas coming up, I'm sure that's going to happen again, where, you start remembering and thinking about all the things that you don't like, all the things that trigger you, whether happy or sad. But usually we tend to be more hijacked by the negative things, by the things which are hard. Good morning, Barb. How nice to see you. So the reminders of the fights and how somebody's always grumpy and how somebody always does this or does that. So around the holidays, I know that I really struggle with emotions and depression because when I was a kid, the holidays, the people in my life, good morning, Tim, the people in my life were pretty stressed out. And so that carried over for my holidays these days. But when I find myself starting to go down that path, starting to go down the path of adversity and thinking in my head or even just feeling in my body that anger or that frustration or that worry or that aggravation, the thing that snaps me out of it pretty quick, good morning, Ann Louise, the thing that snaps me out of that mindset pretty quick is the word sometimes. If I can remember that, when let's say the thought comes into your head that they always do this. They don't respect me. They don't like me. They don't appreciate me. I can't believe they're doing this again. It's always going to be this way. When I feel that way, when I feel that frustration and I hear those thoughts in my head, it's really hard to try to turn them into something positive like, oh, I'm love and light and they're love and light and I send them love and light. That's a really hard turnaround. It's a lot smoother and a lot more graceful and gentler when you can use something like sometimes. So when your mind starts going, I can't believe they did this again. They always do this. They always mean this. Why do they have to be this way? When you start going down that rabbit hole and you think to yourself, wait, sometimes that is true. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes, sometimes everything that they're saying, good morning, Janice. Sometimes everything that they're saying is exactly true. They really mean it. They don't like you. They don't respect you. They're self-absorbed. They're narcissistic. They're not thinking of anybody themselves. That's very true. But sometimes they are present. Sometimes you are present. Sometimes you are not someone who just, gives in or rolls over or gets mad or reacts. Sometimes you're someone who's very aware and awake and alive. You know what? Sometimes they are too. When you can remind yourself that nothing is absolute. Don't you love that phrase? Nothing is absolute. When you can remind yourself that that nothing is absolute, that everything changes and shifts, and sometimes people are jerks and sometimes they're amazing. Sometimes you are reactionary and mean and not nice, and sometimes you're grounded and peaceful and kind. When you remember that, it puts you into a whole different part of your brain. You know, when we're in that emotional space, we're in one part of our psyche, one part of our thinking pattern. And good morning, Brenda. So when we're in that anger, that frustration, or that aggravation, you know, there we are. We're spinning around, and we can't get out of, let's say, that part of our head. Good morning, Michael. Nice to see you. But when we go to sometimes, it launches us, it sticks us into a different part of our brain. It changes our focus, and it helps us move to the adult part of us that's out of that memory and out of that emotion. Because when something triggers us, we go right to that space. Think of us almost like as stars in a sky. You know, we go right to that planet. Our GPS says, here we are, this is what we're doing, this is where we're going, and you know, the gravitational pull just sucks you in, and there you are. But when you can look at a different star, when you can look at a different planet, at a different point of view, it gets you out of that. You're now in a different space. It pulls you out of that cycle of anger or frustration or hurt or aggravation. I had a great mentor who said, if you don't know what to do, do the thing that you haven't done before. So when you find yourself thinking the same thoughts or feeling the same things, especially with these holidays coming up, and repeating all of your patterns of when you were a kid or when you were older, or memories or hurt memories or grief or anything like that, you can honor it. You don't have to, you know, ignore it or reject it or even power through it. You can honor it and then shift your focus. And if you can use the word sometimes, then you don't have that inner conflict. You know, one of the problems I have with mantras is that as soon as I say, I am love and light and joy, you know, or whatever my mantra may be, my mind immediately goes to, wait, what about that time that you were dark and angry and mean and insensitive and thoughtless and unkind? You know, and then you sort of start to spiral down and you're like, oh yeah, I'm not love and light and joy. I'm really kind of not a nice person, you know, or I'm weak or I'm insecure or whatever it may be. You know, so the problem when we launch right into positive thinking and launch right into mantraing, or I'm just going to think differently, the problem is we still have that inner conflict. We still have the devil and the angel on our shoulders. We still have those two voices that say, wait, that's not true. You're lying to yourself again. You know, as soon as we try to crawl up out of that bucket, like we're a crab trying to crawl up, something pulls us back down in. So you have to find a gentler way to transition from, you know, to not just go, oh, I'm doing it again, to, oh, I'm love and light and joy. The transition for me is sometimes, you know what? Sometimes I'm insecure and I fall right back into my patterns. And sometimes I'm positive and kind and I have it all figured out. You know, when you do that, you take away the conflict. It's like you go to a higher level. You get out of your pattern of back and forth, up and down, yes and no, to something that's bigger, a thought that's bigger, an idea that's bigger, and it's a whole different place. It's a whole different star and planet and location. So when you do that, when you remember that sometimes I'm a screw up and sometimes I've got it all going on and I'm fine, if you remember that, it will make your holidays much, much easier. So that's my little tip for today. When you find yourself going down that rabbit hole of negativity or frustration or whatever it may be, don't try to change it. Don't try to be somebody else. Embrace it, love it, accept it, And that's where you'll find some peace, in that self-acceptance that it's perfectly okay to be a human being. And it's perfectly okay to sometimes be a jerk, sometimes to be a screw up, and other times to be the beautiful, amazing human being that you are. No conflict that way. You can be both at exactly the same time. So over this next week, you're not going to see me at 8:15 because I'm going to be in Hawaii, which means there's a 4-hour time difference, and there's no way I'm getting up to do a live stream at 4:15. But what we are going to do is I'm going to take you on all these adventures. We've got parasailing and snorkeling and driving up the mountain and a spa day at the Waldorf Astoria. And, all of these great things. Good morning, Barbara. So I've got all these great adventures and trips planned, include, fishing and all that other stuff. I will, Kristen. I will enjoy it. So I'm going to take you along with me. So I'll make sure that I'll live stream. I don't know what the times are going to be, but I'll take you along, and hopefully you'll be able to see some of the wonderful things that I'm seeing and get a break yourself. Because sometimes we need a break. We can't always be perfect and amazing and wonderful and fabulous. Sometimes we have to get out of the treadmill, off of the path, and get a little vacation. So I invite you to join me, and I look forward to having you there with me as I go on my adventures. And so I will see you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.